Flyer.
He scored!
97.3 ESPN, WENJ HD, Millville, Atlantic City, a Town Square media station serving all of South Jersey. This is Game Night with Josh Hennick.
It's good!
On 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
And he scored!
Now live from inside the Ocean Casino Resort Studio, here's Josh Hennick.
Josh Hennick here on 97.3 ESPN FM and 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea Isle. Eagles game day, football Friday, all that and more. You and me hanging out for the next hour, leading you up to the Eagles pregame show, and then Mel Reese and Mike Quick calling all the action here on your home for Eagles football in South Jersey, 97.3 ESPN. You tell me your predictions for the Eagles game, your picks for the Eagles game, all that and more, plus some of the biggest key matchups. I want to get to all that right now here on 97.3 ESPN. Text board is open. 609-403-0973. And yes, your DMs into the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea Isle. So let's get into this game tonight. Eagles and Packers. You know, the more I thought about this game, and I mentioned this earlier today on the Sports Bash with Mike Gill here on 97.3 ESPN. The more I thought about this game, the more I realized that this game is going to come down to a specific matchup. And Sal Paolantonio said something on SportsCenter that really stood out to me. Because we have all spent a lot of time talking about Vic Fangio and the defense, Nick Sirianni, the head coach, Jalen Hurts, the quarterback. But ultimately, this game is going to come down to a specific matchup. So I have a couple key matchups for you guys today. And then a little bit later, a question was asked by a former NFL coach that I want to get your guys' thoughts on. But first, Sal Paolantonio, ESPN, NFL correspondent, live in Sao Paulo, Brazil, said this on SportsCenter.
The matchup of the Eagles offense against the Packers defense sets up like this. Kellen Moore was hired to give the Eagles offense more complexity so that defenses won't tee off on his quarterback, number one, and Jalen Hurts will cut down on the number of turnovers. That's what they want. But the Packers hired Jeff Hafley as a defensive coordinator for an aggressive profile. You'll see much more man coverage on the outside. They think they can match up against the Eagles offense in this game with man coverage and extra pressure.
So let's break that down. Because I think Sal Paolantonio brings up an excellent point. Okay? I don't think we have focused in enough on the new coordinators. Both teams have new coordinators at opposing positions. So let's break it down. Kellen Moore. What makes Kellen Moore different than what the Eagles had the last 3 years? I specifically go the last three because you have a situation where, I mean, let's be realistic. It's been Nick Sirianni's offense in one form or another. In one form or another, this has been Sirianni's offense, okay? Whether it was him calling the plays in year one, Steichen calling the plays for the last year and a half, or it was Brian Johnson, shall we call it, facilitating the playbook for Sirianni. Whatever your scenario that you want to point to, in some form or another, this has been a Sirianni, Shane Steichen dictated offense. So what makes Kellen Moore different? Well, number one, Kellen Moore comes from an offensive background that includes Mike Martz, Scott Linehan's greatest show on turf style of offense. He's also got a little bit of that Don Coryell influence from his former head coach, Chris Peterson, at Boise State. He's also got that variant, shall we call it, of the West Coast offense that guys like Mike McCarthy used to run. McCarthy runs in Dallas. He's got a lot of influences there. But the one common factor we know for sure about this guy, Kellen Moore, is that Kellen Moore consistently is the guy who likes up-tempo offenses, motion, all kinds of different looks to throw at you. And it's that type of creativity that Jason Kelce said on the New Heights podcast was missing from the Eagles offense last year, is what Kellen Moore will bring to the team this season.
He's done a little bit of everything. You know, obviously he comes from Boise, and it's
it was wacky back then, man. It was
damn
I
sure
want
was.
to say wacky. It was a different offense though, and they
did a lot of stuff. I mean, it was creative. That's what
There
it
it
comes
is.
down to.
There
And I
it
think there was a lot of people, even looking back ourselves, that realized that we could have potentially been a little bit more creative, I guess, offensively. And I think Kellen will bring a lot of that.
So Kellen's going to bring creativity, motion, new options, right? Darius Slaya said he expects Kellen Moore to elevate Jalen Hurts, all right? But what else will Kellen Moore do? Kellen Moore is not going to have stagnant receiver formations. You see, Kellen Moore used, whether it was the first half of the season with the Chargers before everyone got injured in Los Angeles, or when it was Dallas, he would take receivers, play them outside, inside, all over the formation. And considering that Jahan Dotson played 60% of his snaps on the outside in Washington the last 2 seasons, there's a strong possibility that we are going to see both A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith get reps this year in the slot. Greg Cosell from NFL Films said this on the Inside the Birds podcast that dropped this morning.
The point about formation variation and the multiplicity of formations that Kellen Moore is going to do. A lot of people might forget that until about game 7 of his college career, A.J. Brown was a pure slot receiver in college. So he's played there. Devonta Smith can line up anywhere. We know Dotson can, assuming he's the guy. That's what they got him for. So I don't think this is going to be one of those situations where they line up basically in one spot. You know, I think that's one of the things about Kellen Moore that we will see, is that he will move receivers around.
So a lot to chew on there. So the Eagles, different offense coordinator, different game plan for the Eagles going into tonight's game versus the Packers. But the problem is, as I said, Jeff Hafley, new defensive coordinator for the Packers, changing the defense overall. So you're going from a defense that ran a 3-4 front, or sometimes what would be called a 5-2 front, in the Vic Fangio style under a guy like Joe Barry. They got rid of him. They got rid of Joe Barry because Joe Barry was not doing good enough to stop other teams on third down. So even though the Packers were top 10 in the NFL in points allowed, their third down conversion rate as a defense was poor. Their pass rush was mediocre. So now they're changing from that 3-4/5-2 front, where you had the 3 interior linemen and the 2 overhang that Fangio likes to run. And now you're going to the 4-3 front, or what some people like to call the 46 cover 3. The reason why they call it a 4-3 or 46 cover 3 is because in this scheme that guys like Hafley, guys like Robert Saleh, people who like to run a version of the classic Seahawks cover 3 defense from the early 2010s. The idea being that if everyone is lined up in a theoretical zone, you are not sure exactly where the blitz is coming from. So now what you do is, if you have 6-7 men in the box, right? In a 43 scheme, there's 7 men in the box. In a 46, you could theoretically have 10 men line up in the box and half the team drop in the coverage. That's the idea of cover 3 with a zone blitz. So now they're trying to create more pressure. They're trying to create more blitz opportunities. And as NFL Films' Greg Cosell said on the Inside the Birds podcast, Jeff Hafley he takes his influences defensively from certain types of coordinators. 2 very interesting names he mentions here with the Inside the Birds podcast guys.
Keep in mind that there's also a Rex Ryan element and a Mike Pettin element to Hafley's background. So there's a lot of pressure packages here. He's a student of all those pressure schemes. So you're going to see not only the 4-man pass rush, but you're going to see some pretty intricate pressure schemes as well.
So 2 very interesting names. Number 1, he mentioned Rex Ryan. Now, for those who may not remember the Rex Ryan defenses in Baltimore with the New York Jets and in Buffalo, Rex Ryan, who is the son of Buddy Ryan, did something that his father didn't do a lot, which is Rex tried to give you a variety of different looks as a defender. Rex Ryan prided himself on the idea that he looked at the other team's offense as an opportunity to play chess. He wanted to see if he aligned himself a certain way, if he would force you to respond in a way that you don't want to. I heard Bill Belichick explain this on the Pat McAfee show. Belichick explained on the McAfee, I think it was like a week or 2 ago, that the purpose of blitzing is not to just get to the quarterback. The purpose of blitzing is to make the other team either get out of rhythm or do something they don't want to do. So the blitz is not just about getting to the quarterback. It's not just about putting yourself in a position to get a sack or a quarterback pressure or a fumble or a turnover. It's about how often can I take the opposing team's offense out of their rhythm, out of their game plan. So now how does that impact the Eagles? Well, if the goal is to frustrate Jalen Hurts, Kellen Moore, and the Eagles offense, which is part of the reason why Hafley is here, right? Well, we saw what happened last year when the Eagles played Wink Martindale and the Giants and Todd Bowles and the Bucks. The offense was never in rhythm. It had trouble reading where the blitz was coming from. And remember the Tim McManus article where Tim McManus talked to Wink Martindale. Wink Martindale confirmed this to the media recently that Jalen Hurts did call him. Hurts confirmed it. He called Wink Martindale and said, explain to me what you were doing to me. Explain to me what these blitz packages were. Help me understand. Help me learn. And Nick Saban has talked about how Jalen Hurts is the kind of guy who's always learning, always wanting to grow. So Hurts is aware that teams are going to want to run this kind of blitz package that Jeff Hafley wants to run. And because Hurts is aware of that, I think it makes it a little bit less of a threat because you know it's coming and you know how it's coming. The other name that was mentioned by Greg Cosell on the audio cut was Mike Pettin. Mike Pettin was the Packers defensive coordinator before Joe Barry. The reason why that is relevant, because the Packers fired Mike Pettin because Mike Pettin, for as good of a generator of a pass rush as he was at getting, their scoring defense was poor. Their total yards against was poor, but they were getting sacks. They were getting to the quarterback. So the Packers said, you're blitzing too much. So they brought in Joe Barry to be a more nuanced guy. And the problem is while he had top 10 scoring defenses, wasn't getting enough pressure, not stopping the other team on third down. So now they bring in Jeff Hafley to try to bridge the gap between Joe Barry's inability to get to the quarterback and Mike Pettin's inability to stop big plays against him. So what does Hafley do? Hafley at Boston College as a head coach and as defense coordinator at Ohio State, he was very big on forcing teams, if they were going to throw against you, to not go deep, but to beat you over the middle, beat you on the check down. He wanted to frustrate you and never give you the opportunity to go deep. Again, the purpose of that classic Seattle cover 3, that confining zone coverage system, is to force a quarterback to do too much thinking and not enough reacting, not enough responding. So what does that mean for the Eagles? You're going to have a coordinator who is going to want to frustrate you, going to want to get in your face. Well, if we are to believe what Jason Kelce said on the New Heights podcast, the Eagles have spent the whole offseason planning for this.
Coaches have had a full offseason. They know that they are going to get blitzed a lot early this year based on how last year ended. They've been focused on different ways to defeat the blitz, either from getting rid of the football to checks to putting the protection in ways that are conducive for the play called. And I think that all of these things that they've been working on all off season, I think it's just going to lead to a much more productive offense, especially in regards to that.
So if we are to believe the Eagles have been preparing for this all off season, now it becomes a real chess match between Kellen Moore and the Eagles coaching staff preparing for this game all offseason. Because I'm sure Kellen Moore has sat down and said, okay, what did Hafley do at Boston College? What did he do at Ohio State? And then look at the defenses he was a part of, like, for example, the 49ers in the early 2010s, and early to mid 2010s, I should say, when he was a defensive backs coach. All right, what did they like to do in San Francisco? What do they like to do with the Cleveland Browns? Hafley was part of multiple staffs like that. So if you look at what he has been influenced by and what he likes to do, you should have an idea of where the blitz might be coming from in different situations. But I'm sure the Packers are doing the same thing with Kellen Moore. Look, last year, Kellen Moore, I don't think you can judge him too harshly because of the fact that you look at a guy in Kellen Moore, half of his team got injured last year. He was down to a third string quarterback. Of course, the offense looked like trash because they had nobody good playing out there. So, of course, they looked bad. That's why the Chargers overhauled their roster this offseason, because they said, look, you guys can't stay healthy, and Jim Harbaugh is going to want to grind in some of these games. We can't have a bunch of glass-jawed individuals out there getting knocked out of the games left and right. So when I look at it, I look at this as who prepared their team better for this moment. Who prepared their team better for this situation? I think that is going to be the key tonight. I think it is going to be Kellen Moore versus Jeff Hafley. That'll determine the outcome of this game. What do you guys think about the Eagles offense versus the Packers defense? 609-403-0973 is text port. I see text from Steve and Ventnor. We'll get to Steve on the other side, as well as more messages coming in. And a former NFL head coach says that there is something about the Packers that we are not talking about enough. Get to that coming up as well on a Football Friday edition of Game Night with me, Josh Hennig, on 97.3 ESPN FM and 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City.
Saturday morning in the locker room with Billy Schwein, producer Nick Earnshaw, and my twin brother Bobby Schwein join me in the studio. We will recap the Eagles-Packers game in Brazil and get the keys to the game with Fox 29 News sports anchor Scott Grayson. Brought to you by Blitz's Market. Hour 2, Mr. Negadelphia PJ Cordo opines on the Birds. Brought to you by Galloway Pool Service. Finally, we'll hear from South Jersey lifeguard historian Tom McCann on his new book, The Guards. It's the locker room with Billy Schwein, Saturday morning from 10 a.m. to noon, 97.3 ESPN.
Some people just know the best rate for you is a rate based on you with Allstate. Not a rate based on Terry who keeps and makes the car behind them. Oh no, they're about to. Save with DriveWise and the Allstate app and only pay a rate based on you.
Not available in every state, subject to terms and conditions. Rating factors and savings vary, and in some states your rate could increase with high-risk driving. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
Breaking news coming in from Bet365, where every nail-biting overtime win, breakaway, pick six, three-point shot, underdog win, buzzer beater, shootout, walk-off, and absolutely every play in between is amazing. From football to basketball and hockey to baseball, whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 plus only. Must be physically located in New Jersey.
Shop the Sherwin-Williams September holiday sale and get 30% off paints and stains from August 30th through September 9th. With prices starting at $34.29, it's the perfect time to transform your space with color. Whether you're looking to revamp your bedroom, living room, or home office, we have you covered with bold hues, soothing neutrals, and everything in between. Shop the sale online or visit your neighborhood Sherwin-Williams store. Retail sales only. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
With T-Mobile, you can get tons of benefits and still save on every plan versus AT&T and Verizon. Because nobody likes having to choose. It's like getting romance and sci-fi.
Jane, I love you. Also, I'm a robot.
Or being a dog person and a cat person.
Who wants a treat? Who's a good boy?
Or like being an extrovert and an introvert.
Woo! This is so fun! I can't wait to go home!
At T-Mobile, you don't have to choose. You can get the benefits you want and still save on every plan versus AT&T and Verizon. See how much you can save with our savings calculator at T-Mobile.com/switch. Plus, when you switch, you can keep your phone and we'll pay it off up to $800.
Via virtual prepaid card in 15 days. Qualifying unlocked device, credit, service, and timely redemption required. Card has no cash access and expires in 6 months. See T-Mobile.com.
Oh no, stomach issues again?
Stomach issues? Who are you? Your pancreas. I could be the real reason for your diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose oily stools.
I thought it was my stomach.
People often do, but any of these symptoms could mean having a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and speak with your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
Warning, the following ZipRecruiter radio spot you are about to hear is going to be filled with F words.
When you're hiring, we at ZipRecruiter know you can feel frustrated, and you can spend a fortune trying to find fabulous people, only to get flooded with candidates who are just fine. Fortunately, ZipRecruiter figured out how to fix all of that. We find the right people for your roles fast, which is our absolute favorite F word. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/free to try ZipRecruiter for free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Powered by the all-new BetParks New Jersey Casino and Sportsbook app. BetParks.com. This is the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network.
The Eagles are back in action tonight for the first time this season. I'm Nick Earnshaw with your South Jersey Sports Center and with your 97.3 ESPN question of the day. The Eagles take on the Packers tonight in their first game of the 2024 regular season in Brazil. With that being said, our 97.3 ESPN question of the day is, who do you think will be the standout star in the Eagles' first game? Let us know by texting 609-403-0973 or use the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app. To me, I think Devontae Smith will be the standout star in tonight's ball game. I think Smitty is poised for a big year. He had a quiet 1,000-yard season last year. I think he has another big year after the contract extension this season. Also, remember to listen to Eagles and Packers live from Sao Paulo, Brazil tonight with Merrill Reese and Mike Quick. Coverage starting at 7 p.m. and kickoff at 8:15 p.m. right here on 97.3 ESPN, your home for Eagles football. Your forecast is next.
Better days. Healthier living. There are many reasons to start recovery. If you know someone who is suffering from addiction, we are always here to help. Make the call at 844-REACH-NJ.
From the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network, I'm Chief Meteorologist Dan Zarrow. Tomorrow's a cold front day. It will be unsettled with a brief period of rain, and then cooler, drier air returns with sunshine for the second half of the weekend. Partly cloudy skies tonight, low is 65. Tomorrow, mostly cloudy and breezy, high 76. Chance of a shower in the morning, better chance of rain, and maybe a thunderstorm in the afternoon and early evening hours. Sunny skies on Sunday, high of only 72. Get weather 24/7 wherever you are. Download our free mobile app today.
You have the choice, whether it's going out to dinner or ordering takeout at a local restaurant. Those choices help to put money back into your community. And Town Square Media South Jersey puts a spotlight on local restaurants.
The Ravioli House in Wildwood, where the possibilities are endless. Villa Fasolari, serving authentic Italian cuisine since 2007 in Buna. Doyle's Poorhouse of Tuckerton, offering amazing food, a family-friendly atmosphere, and the best events.
Thank you for supporting these great local restaurants from Town Square Media, South Jersey.
This is Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
Coming up in a few minutes, you will hear from a former NFL coach who has a question about the Eagles-Packers game that I personally haven't heard anyone else bring up this entire week. But first, your texts are coming in at 609-403-0973 and your DMs into the 973 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. Steve Venter chimes in and says, I love the idea of moving the wide receivers around. Let A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith do their thing out of the slot to create mismatches. I think we will see Hurts moving around in the pocket a little more this year, says Steven Venter, and we'll run the ball more than 50% of the time. Maybe it'll be like a 52-48 split, a very balanced offense this year, but the Eagles are going to be blitzing up the middle to get in the quarterback's face, flush less mobile guys out of the pocket. That's from Steve and Ventnor. Well, see, we'll get to the defense in just a minute, but your point about the Eagles offense, we talked about before the break, is very interesting because you talked about creating mismatches. I think one of the biggest problems the Eagles had last year, when Jason Kelsey talks about on the New Heights podcast, that they were lacking creativity. I think the reason why they were lacking creativity was because of the fact that at the end of the day, you had a situation where you were asking guys to win matchups without any help, any assistance, nothing. You kind of just left guys on an island out there. And I thought that was very unfair. I thought it was very unfair that this organization, they basically treated their players as if it doesn't matter. Who cares? You guys will be fine. You guys will get over it. And I think it's very sad that they did not put their players in a position to be successful. And I think that was one of the biggest letdowns of last season, was the fact that they didn't put their guys in a position to be successful. And because they didn't put their guys in a position to be successful, they left them in too many undesirable situations. Now, if you create mismatches, now if you force the other team to adjust the way you're doing, instead of you constantly reacting to what they do, now, as Steven Venter points out, you create the mismatch and you put those guys in a position to be successful. Again, I think that's a huge part of all this stuff. You want to be the team to help your guys be successful. Now, to the point of the defense that Steve brought up, I will say Fangio has been very specific about the fact that he is not a heavy blitz coordinator. It's just not who he is. But what he is a coach who understands that, come on, we're being honest here. He is a coach who understands that you're not going to win every single down. Sometimes you got to play the long game. And I think the problem with people when they've watched Vic Fangio in the past is the reality that I don't think people understand that Fangio is not the kind of coach who is going, how do I put this politely? He's not the kind of coach who is going to try to win every single down. He will take a 1st and 10 to go for 7 yards if it means he can set up a pass rush later in the game on the same kind of situation. He is a big picture kind of coach. So I think it's a big part of this conversation. Yeah, he's going to run the blitz up the middle, but sometimes he's doing it not to get to the quarterback. As I said earlier, Steven Ventnor, it's because he is going to be the coach who is going to look around and say, how do I take these guys out of their rhythm? And what is a big part of the Packers offense? They do not have a number one receiver. They do not have a primary target on that offense. So, because of that reality, it's not like you can look at just one or two guys and say, we got to stop them. You got to have a balanced defense that is going to handle everything thrown at them. So, for example, if I am Vic Fangio, I'm more concerned about the Packers getting big plays against me than I am about them getting small amount of yards on each down. Look, the Packers can get to a 2nd and 5 as long as you don't let them get 5 more yards, right? You can force the Packers, ideally, into a situation where they are going to not be able to get the ball to their playmakers. They're not going to be able to get the ball to they're not going to be able to get the ball to the guys they want to get to consistently. I think Christian Watson is a huge matchup nightmare for any team in the NFL, especially a team like the Eagles that is in a situation where how do I say this? If you're the Eagles, right, you don't want to be the team that gets run out of Brazil. The first NFL game in Brazil. You don't want the Packers running up and down the field on you like they did against the Cowboys in the playoff game last year. Well, how do you prevent that? You prevent that by not letting the Packers get advantageous looks for the quarterback. And I don't just mean by a pass rush. I mean by setting up the team to say, okay, how do we not let Jordan Love get to his first and second option so quickly? And that's where former NFL coach John Gruden on his YouTube channel asked this question that made me think a little extra. Former Super Bowl winning head coach John Gruden said this on his YouTube channel.
But the Packers, no matter what anybody says, is still a very young and developing team. How are they going to handle a week in Brazil?
The Green Bay Packers are the youngest team in the NFL. And while the Eagles are themselves the 6th youngest team, the Eagles have way more veteran experience on their team still, with guys like Lane Johnson, with guys like Brandon Graham, guys like Darius Slay. Even someone like a CJ Garner-Johnson is an experienced guy in this league. Dallas Goedert, very experienced guy. A.J. Brown, experience. So if you are the Eagles, you have more experience on your side. You even have the more experienced coaching staff. Vic Fangio has been around football longer than some of you listening to me on 97.3 ESPN have been alive. So that is a good question. How do the Packers handle this situation? More from John Gruden on his YouTube channel.
Everything's looked pretty good in the preseason. This ain't the preseason. This is the regular season. And the Philadelphia Eagles are in Brazil too. It'll be interesting to see what changes that he has made. Very important that we remember the Green Bay Packers from a year ago. Nobody really liked them until week 11 or 12. They got hot and they excited a lot of people. Can they sustain what they showed us last year?
It's a huge question because part of the reason why Jeff Hafley is here and Joe Barry is no longer here, part of the reason why they brought in guys like Xavier McKinney on defense and why they tried to upgrade their offensive line again this offseason is because the Packers did struggle at times last year. It was not a great season. It was a great end of the season for them. They went on a great run in December and January, but they were not a hot team week 1 to week 8. That's why they went 9-8 last year. So if you're the Eagles, you're dealing with a young team who has had a limited amount of success. And as John Gruden says, the Eagles offense is not going to be easy for Packers defensive coordinator Jeff Hafley.
And if you know anything about Barkley, you know he has a big, big issue. He wants to prove it that the Giants made a big mistake. Let me tell you, this guy is going to be playing with the best supporting cast he's ever played with. They have an outstanding duo of receivers. Devontae Smith, the big man Brown. I mean, these two guys can impact the game. And with Saquon Barkley and the possibility of Hurts keeping it on the zone read, I would not want to be a rookie defensive coordinator going up against the Eagles.
And remember, Hafley is a young coordinator. He has been around the NFL as a defensive backs coach. And you saw how that worked for the Eagles last year when they brought Sean Desai in here. Mediocre results most of the year, and then horrible results at the end of the year. For these guys, they are learning the hard way that Philadelphia is not going to be a team to be trifled with. You give Philadelphia with Barkley and A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, and Dallas Goedert, and Jahan Dotson, and Jalen Hurts room to work, they're going to destroy you. Part of the reason why you need the blitz for a team like the Packers, because they don't have the talent to man up with the Eagles every single down. They're not that athletic. So that is where I am curious to see, why have we not talked about the inexperience and the youth of the Packers more? Why have we only just been negative about the Eagles? The Eagles ended the year poorly last year. Okay. Well, the Packers started the year poorly last year. What do we do with that information? Packers only had one more playoff win last year than the Eagles did. But we act like they are so much better. They had such a better season. Philadelphia started the year 10-1. Packers didn't do that. Packers couldn't even win 10 games last year. So I think that going into the game tonight, it is definitely a scenario where it is, how do the Packers youth handle this game? And I think that for me, not that I think, I know for me, myself, I look at this game as a situation where I think both defensive coordinators are going to have more success than the offensive coordinators early in this game. I gave you guys the stat last night. Opening night, 4-1-1 to start the year. Well, what happened last night? I gave you guys the under 46.5. You know what the total of the game was last night? 47. We missed by a point. And the reason why that's relevant is because it's not that my analysis was wrong in terms of it not being a super high scoring game. My take on the number was wrong. My mathematics were wrong. And I think that's when you look at this game tonight, you realize that, you know, this line for Philadelphia coming into this game, it's a little sketchy. It's a little weird. Because like I said, last night, I'm looking around the clock and I'm like, oh, maybe they'll hold on to keep this under. They didn't. They hit the over by 1 point. Because in order for you to hit 46 points, what is that game? It's 26-20. It's 24-14. It's a bad math situation. And a wise man once told me, math will always get you in trouble when it comes to these odds and these numbers. Well, what's the over-under tonight? The over-under tonight's 49.5. If you hit the under in this game, it can still be a 27-20 game. It can still be a 23-17, a 24-20, a 30-17 type game. There's a lot of scores that can go with this number that will work. So I still believe it's going to be defense first and offense in the second half. In fact, if you look at the first, second half numbers, the first half over-under is 24.5. Is that a situation where we got to go into this game and realize that even the odds makers don't look at this as a high-scoring first half? The odds makers, the people who literally their job is to make money off of you being emotional, they're telling you this is a 14-10 first half. They're telling you that this is a 13-10, a 13-13 type of first half. That's what they're telling you. So if they're telling you it's going to be a low-scoring first half, that benefits both teams defensively. All right, coming up next, I see text coming in asking about parlays and bets. I know it's a Football Friday. We'll get you the picks and thoughts on the betting odds coming up next here on Game Night with me, Josh Hennig, live in the Ocean Casino Resort Studios, where you can watch the Eagles game tonight and you can bet on the game at the Gallery. Go to the Gallery, go to Ocean, go for the win. For more information, visit oceanac.com. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
This is South Jersey's official home for Philadelphia Eagles football. The Eagles open the 2024 season tonight in Sao Paulo, Brazil, against the Green Bay Packers.
Here comes the rush. They've got him! Jalen Carter.
Listen to all the action with Merrill Reese and Mike Quick with pregame coverage starting at 7 p.m. and kickoff at 8:15. This is the play-by-play home of the Philadelphia Eagles. 97.3 ESPN, South Jersey's Eagles station.
Go for the endless ocean views and the nonstop entertainment. Go for the lucky whirls and the late night twirls. Go for the gourmet eats and the next level sweets. Go to celebrate. Go to rejuvenate. Go for an escape that's anything but ordinary. Go for the win. Go to Ocean Casino Resort. Book your trip at theoceanac.com. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
She posted about us just now.
Celebrities can't get enough of Beyonce's bespoke skincare line.
She has 147 million followers. How do we monetize?
She needs a social media associate to help her with the hype.
We should repost this. Do we need a hashtag?
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. You can schedule and conduct virtual interviews all from your employer dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Downy Rinse and Refresh. Break up with stinky clothes.
Rinse it out.
Every now and then I get a little bit tired of the stings that just will never come out.
Oh, Downy in the rinse change.
Every now and then I rinse it out. One wash and it delivers. One wash, it smells so clean. Downy Rinse and Refresh, it's a dream.
Downy Rinse and Refresh. Fights odor in just one wash. Guaranteed.
Your luxury BMW experience is closer than you think. Take advantage of exceptional savings at BMW of Atlantic City. Stop in and shop your favorite models, including the new BMW 2 Series, X3, and more. We're sure to have a vehicle that fits your needs. And with Acceleride, purchase your vehicle online and we'll deliver it directly to you. Looking to trade? We'll pay top dollar for your current vehicle. Experience luxury today at BMW of Atlantic City, closer than you think. In Egg Harbor Township, shop our complete inventory online at bmwatlanticcity.com.
Our Labor Day savings start now at Lowe's. Right now, buy one, get one free on Valspar Reserve or HGTV Home by Sherwin-Williams Infinity or Showcase Interior Paint via Lowe's gift card rebate. Whether you're painting one accent wall or want to freshen up a whole room, we've got you covered. Because Lowe's knows savings. Lowe's knows home improvement. More terms and restrictions apply. See Lowe's.com/rebates for details. Valid through 9/4.
Hi, it's Pete from Chicky and Pete's. Wrap up your workday with the all-new Chickies and Pete's Happy Hour with unbeatable specials weekdays from 4 to 6 p.m. Enjoy half-price orders of Chickies medium tender wings, one of our tasty and delicious pizzas, or an order of mouth-watering hot, cold, or fried shrimp. Plus $3 domestic bottled beers, $5 Tito's, and $6 seltzers. It's the all-new Happy Hour, weekdays, 4 to 6 p.m., only at Chickies and Pete's. Hi, it's Pete from Chicky and Pete's. Now, for a limited time, it's buy one, get one free snow crab legs every Tuesday and Wednesday. Buy one, get one free, and enjoy the sweet, delicate flavor of snowy white crab meat. Pair it with one of our handcrafted cocktails like the Stoli Vanilla Creamsicle or the Bourbon Peach Sweet Tea. Top it off with Chicky and Pete's world-famous crab fries. Buy one, get one free snow crab legs every Tuesday and Wednesday for a limited time. Restrictions apply only at Chickies and Pete's.
Hey, if you have ugly yellow toe fungus, you got to hear about the secret 2-minute trick that I found for my husband. It works from both the inside and the outside. Thousands of people are using it to get rid of their toe fungus. You can check it out at crystalflesh.com. Jake started off with a small spot on his big toe, and then it spread and got really bad. His toes were nasty. It was so embarrassing. He was afraid to take his socks off. He hid his yellow and crumbly toes from everyone. He tried everything to get rid of it. Nothing helped. And then we found crystalflesh.com. It was the only thing that worked. In just a few weeks, his toes looked amazing. He's now walking around barefoot again. You guys need to try this. I'm telling you, this stuff is different. It's not sold in stores, but go check it out at crystalflesh.com. They'll even let you try it risk-free, so you have nothing to lose. But whatever you do, don't let it get worse. You don't have to live with this anymore. Go check it out now. Just click over to crystalflesh.com.
Oh yeah, it's on at Matt Blatt Nissan.
If you're currently stuck in a loan or lease, AJ the Trade Man can get you released. MattBlattNissan.com. It's on at Matt Blatt Nissan on the Black Horse Pike, Egg Harbor Township.
Our daughter Jessie loves playing detective.
But since we discovered she has sensitive skin, we've been playing detective too.
We thought the problem was our puppy.
But it was actually our old detergent. So we switched to Tide Free and Gentle.
Tide Free and Gentle has no dyes or perfumes, so it's gentle on her skin.
If it's got to be clean, it's got to be Tide Free and Gentle. This back-to-school season, Tide and Downy are giving back with $1.5 million in scholarships. Enter to win. No purchase necessary. US/DC 17+. End September 30th. Rules. Tide.com/scholarship/official rules.
Meet Cheryl. Hey. She's on vacation and lost in the moment. Unfortunately, so is her Chase debit card.
It's got to be somewhere.
Maybe she lost it at salsa night.
These skirts should have pockets.
Or maybe she lost it at Pilates.
3 and 2 and...
But she's not worried. With the Chase mobile app, she can lock her card till it turns up. Tools that help protect. One bank that puts you in control. Visit chase.com/checking. Chase, make more of what's yours.
Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Message and data rates may apply. JP Morgan Chase Bank and a member FDIC.
97.3 ESPN has teamed up with Seize the Deal for incredible weekly offers from some fantastic local restaurants. Here's this week's big deal.
Get a $50 gift card, good for use at the Ravioli House in Wildwood for just $25.
This great deal is on sale now at seizethedeal.com. Hurry, chances are this deal will sell quickly. For more info on this great deal, go to seizethedeal.com.
SeizeTheDeal.com.
Now, more Game Night with Josh Hennick on 97.3 ESPN and on the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app, powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City.
Josh Hennick hanging out with you here on 97.3 ESPN. All right, so we're going to get into the pick section of the show right now. Of course, it's being brought to you by Ocean Casino and Resort in Atlantic City. Go to the gallery, go to Ocean, go to the Win. For more information, visit theoceanac.com. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. So, couple of things I'm looking at for this game tonight specifically. I think, as I mentioned earlier, the matchup between the Eagles' new offensive coordinator versus the defensive coordinator is a huge matchup I'm keeping an eye on. The chess match, number one. Players I'm watching tonight specifically. I want to see what happens with Saquon. I really want to see how they use him in this offense. Because when Kellen Moore was in Dallas, he used Ezekiel Elliott as a 3-down back. You could argue that Saquon is a more gifted player right now than Elliott was at his prime. Does that mean he's going to be a better player? We're going to find out. So I want to see Saquon tonight. I want to see exactly how they're going to use him tonight. That's my number one. My number two with the game tonight. I genuinely believe that the second key player I'm watching, because Barkley's going to have a huge impact in this game, positive or negative. How he's used is going to change everything. Number two, Jalen Carter. When this guy came out in the draft, Jalen Carter was considered the next big, talented, gifted player. If it wasn't for the off-field situation where he was drag racing and the other person unfortunately died in a car accident, the person he was racing against, if that didn't happen, that dude would have been the first overall pick. And it brings me back to when Warren Sapp, he dropped in the draft. I remember that. I remember when Warren Sapp was not, should have gone higher, but teams had questions about him going into that game. I genuinely believe that Warren Sapp should have been a higher pick, just like Jalen Carter. I think Carter's potential is potentially Warren Sapp-esque. And if it is, this should be a game where he should wreak havoc. He should be able to go out there in this game and say, this is my defense now. This is my role I'm filling for Fletcher Cox now. I am not afraid of this moment. I'm already over my rookie wall from last year. I'm going to come out here and I'm going to dominate. If he comes out there and takes over this game at times, the Eagles will definitely win. The third player I'm watching tonight very closely. I want to see where exactly Quinyon Mitchell is on the field. The Eagles have worked him a lot in the slot. They have worked a lot of formations in practices and training camp where they had Isaiah Rodgers on the outside and Mitchell in the slot. Well, for whatever reason, this team looked at Rodgers and wanted him to start. But now that Rodgers isn't starting, do you put Keely Ringo on the outside because he is 6'2"? He can look at Romeo Doubs and look at Christian Watson and say, I got this guy. Now we're going to ask Mitchell to slow down guys like Weems, right? Slow down guys like Reed, the smaller, more high-level route runners on this team. Or do they put Mitchell on the outside and say, Avonte Maddox, you've played slot before. Good luck, man. We're all counting on you. So I'm very interested by those three players. Saquon, Jalen Carter, Quinyon Mitchell tonight. Over on the text board at 609-403-0973. Texas didn't leave their name. They said they are placing a parlay bet for the game tonight. Saquon anytime touchdown combined with Eagles money line combined with Jordan Love over 256 passing yards and Romeo Doubs anytime touchdown. The only number I'm a little concerned about is that Jordan Love passing total worries me. That's one of those numbers that could really, I could totally see Jordan Love pass for 256 yards tonight and you losing that bet. I do believe Doubs and Barkley are probably going to be among the touchdown scorers in the game tonight. Listen, I'm not in love with this total at all. I think this total is a total for Gazy. Okay? That's why, for me, I'm not putting this total as one of my picks for tonight. I think there is a chance this could be a low-scoring first half and a high-scoring second half. So, that's why I told you guys earlier. Give me first half under 24.5. That's one of my picks for tonight. I like the Eagles money line pick for this reason. According to if you look at the public money versus the smart money, a lot of the public money is on the Packers to win this game. A lot of the gambling public, the not sharp people, the not, classic gamblers, they are taking the Packers. The smart money, the gambling experts, they're taking the Eagles. So I do like the Eagles to win the game tonight. I think Philadelphia wins the game. I'm going to go with 24-21. I think it's a Jake Elliott field goal in the end that wins it. Anytime touchdown scorers, give me Christian Watson for one. And how about Dallas Goedert? As I told you guys before, over the years, in Kellen Moore offenses, the tight ends are averaging almost 8 touchdowns per season scoring. So I like Dallas Goedert tonight to get a touchdown, to be a weapon in the red zone for this offense. I see Dallas Goedert's at plus 235 to score a touchdown. And let's see, Christian Watson's plus 200. So some good value there. All right. It's time for the rest of the picks. Let's rapid fire the NFL. We are 1-1 in the NFL this season. I told you my Eagles picks just now. Give me the under in the Steelers and the Falcons, 42.5 on Sunday. I think the Falcons are a much improved defense. I think the Steelers will frustrate the Falcons for week 1. I think the Falcons' offense will get better as the season progresses and Kirk Cousins gets more reps with those guys. Jags at Dolphins in Miami, giving the over 48.5. I think the heat will make the defenses sweat, and this will be a track meet between the Jags and the Dolphins. Give me Titans over 20.5 team total at Chicago. This Titans team is going to surprise people. I think this Bears defense is completely overrated. They did not do enough coming into this season. I think people are going to be surprised by the Titans offense. Patriots at Bengals in Cincinnati. Bengals minus 7.5. I think the Bengals win this game probably like 30-10. I think the Bengals are going to run away with this game. The Patriots defense is complete garbage. Finally, give me Cowboys at Browns under 40.5. I think that both of these savvy defensive coordinators, Mike Zimmer for the Cowboys, Jim Schwartz for the Browns, these are two guys who have forgotten more football than some of us will ever know. I think they are both going to come out here with a great game plan. It's going to be a low-scoring game in Cleveland between the Cowboys and the Browns. College football, we are 14-6 on the year. Duke team total over 17.5 tonight at Northwestern. If it wasn't for the fact that Duke's receivers dropped about 5 passes, I think it was last week, because there were 4 or 5 passes, they would have run away with that game. I think they are going to get some points on the board in this game. Over 17.5 team total. Tomorrow, you can hear the game on 97.3 ESPN. Iowa State plus 3.5 at Iowa. I think this Iowa State team is better than people realize. Give me also the under 35.5 in this game. 4 of the last 5 meetings between Iowa and Iowa State have all hit the under in this matchup. So under 35.5. Texas team total over 24.5. Texas is a phenomenally high-powered offense, and Michigan struggled defensively last week. Also give me Texas to cover the 7.5 on the road. Tennessee to cover the 10 at NC State on the road. I think Tennessee's offense is completely underrated this year. Temple under 14.5 team total at Navy. I think Navy's defense is going to limit them, and they're going to play the game clock and keep the total of the game under 43.5. Kansas minus 4.5 at Illinois. Kansas is just a better team. Okay, let's be realistic. Finally, Colorado and Nebraska. Give me the shootout over 55.5 points. I'm Josh Hennig. This is Game Night. Have a great weekend, everybody.
Tomorrow on Compass Media Network's coverage of NCAA football. Throw out the records and the rankings as it's a battle for the state of Iowa and the Cy-Hawk Trophy. It's Iowa hosting Iowa State as Coach Kirk Ferentz looks to lead the Hawkeyes to victory over Coach Matt Campbell and the Cyclones. It's Iowa and Iowa State for the Cy-Hawk Trophy. If it's NCAA football, it's right here.
It's College Football Saturday on 97.3 ESPN.
Coverage begins after Game 1 of our triple header.